2 decades ago, the world was captivated by the mysterious disappearance of newlyweds, Alan and Marie, during what was supposed to be the happiest time of their lives, their honeymoon. The case went cold, leaving their families and the public bewildered and haunted by countless unanswered questions. But then, out of the blue, a woman claiming to be Marie emerged, ready to reveal the unbelievable truth behind their vanishing act. As she stepped into the dimly lit room, she hesitated, her eyes betraying a storm of emotions. What on earth had happened with Marie and Alan on their honeymoon? Country officials had been shocked by what almost seemed to be her resurrection. They were astounded by her arrival, as the woman she claimed to be was presumed dead. However, taking one look at her 20-year-old passport photo, they could clearly see that it was indeed her, only slightly aged and more tanned. They truly couldn't believe it. When she started speaking, they also noticed how her English speech had started to falter, almost as if the language hadn't been spoken by her for such a long time. Nevertheless, when she recounted what had happened to her and her husband, the country officials knew that they had to do something. She had come there for a reason, and they knew that they had to solve that issue as fast as they could. They feared that there might be a danger on the horizon. How had she gone undetected for all those years? Where was Alan? And most importantly, how had they survived for all those years? 20 years ago, after Alan and Marie's marriage, they decided to take a beautiful South American honeymoon. They had always heard about the beauty of the Amazon forest and wanted to see it in person. They had the time of their lives there, taking a sightseeing tour every single day. However, it wasn't long before disaster struck. The morning had started like any other, but when their tour guide was waiting in front of their cabin, the wait was exceptionally long. Antonio knew that something was wrong and was quick to call property security. They were shocked when they finally opened the door, fearing what they might see inside. But there was no one there. They had feared that one of them had gotten ill or something disastrous inside the house when neither of them responded. However, there was no one there. There was no sign of life, as the bed and other items in the cabin seemed to have been untouched. It was as if they had never even gone to bed. With their passports still in the cabin, the park that they resided in feared that they could have been kidnapped by criminal groups for ransom due to their Caucasian ethnicity. They knew they had to alert Alan and Marie's families of their predicament. After they notified their families, they deployed rescue units to help search for the couple. To everyone's terror and heartache, the couple was never found. Special units had gone into the jungle, and helicopters had flown overhead for weeks, but with no sign of life, despair soon took over. At some point, professionals decided that there was no way they could survive. The care packages they had dropped were all left untouched, and Alan and Marie were proclaimed dead. It had been horrifying news for their families to bury their loved ones without a body, without the knowledge of what had happened to them. Some family members started to create conspiracy theories, stating that they had left the place in too good of a condition. It was as if they had vanished. Though hard, life soon picked up again for everyone. They would always remember Alan and Marie, and everyone thought that would be the end of it. Two lovers lost to the wind, unable to ever be found, though to them not much could be found. Even 20 years after their loss, the pain still remained. No one could have imagined that word would finally come, saying that they had been found. Though Marie's mother had never gotten over her daughter's death, she had tried to go on with her life, regardless that everything she owned reminded her of her only daughter. She had thought it was just another regular phone call. It had dropped out of her hand when the country official proclaimed Marie to be alive. Marie's mother had nearly gotten a heart attack with the news, pinching herself on the arm to ensure it wasn't a dream. She had dreamt so often of her daughter's return. However, the shock she felt wasn't one-sided. When Marie came back to civilization, they had all questioned the validity of her statement, but when they saw the passport photo, they were sure. She was an aged version of her young self, which was only normal after being missing for 20 years. They couldn't believe it, though. Before calling Marie's family, they knew they had to get to the bottom of what had happened all those years ago. There were so many questions, but something else was amiss. Marie's English had worsened over the years. She could hardly tell them what had happened to her. It was as if she hadn't practiced English for years, maybe even decades. This concerned the government officials. She had disappeared with Alan, her English-speaking partner. With the state of her English, what had happened to him? Marie was frustrated by her nearly forgotten English as the government officials told them that she would show them what had happened. The drive to the resort wasn't long, but everyone saw how it clearly nauseated Marie. She wasn't used anymore to the luxuries of modern times. They couldn't help but wonder how she had survived. Marie's gaze turned distant as if staring into the depths of a forgotten world. With every word she uttered, it became apparent how long she'd been away from civilization. We walk, she started, her voice shaky. Night, beautiful. Alan and me wanted sea stars. She clenched her hands. Frustration was evident, trying to pull words from a language she barely recognized anymore. The couple, intoxicated by the natural beauty of the Amazon and the allure of their recent vows, ventured out of their cabin. The canopy above parted occasionally, revealing the vast expanse of the shimmering night sky. Moonlight, shining, Marie murmured, recalling the moon's glow that bathed the trees, making the forest look ethereal. They felt it was a world just for them. We hear water, river, beautiful sound, Marie's voice wavered. They had assumed that they knew their way, that nature, in all its grandeur, was inviting them deeper. The allure of the Amazon was deceptive. Every tree, every sound seemed friendly and familiar until it didn't. Their trust in their own sense of direction would be their downfall. Marie's eyes sparkled with tears as she remembered laying on the jungle floor, Alan's arm wrapped around her. Stars, many, beautiful, she whispered. They lost track of time, engrossed in the celestial dance above them. The constellations they once recognized seemed different here, more vibrant. But as dawn approached, the enveloping jungle around them became a maze they hadn't anticipated. Morning light pierced through the dense canopy. Marie remembered the gripping fear as the first rays revealed an unfamiliar landscape. Not know where the cabin is, she struggled to express. Alan had tried to calm her, but panic was setting in. Every tree looked the same. Every pathway seemed to lead them deeper into the heart of the unknown. The weight of their predicament settled heavily on them. As they wandered near the cabin, the forest beckoned with its secrets. Mysterious rustlings, the echoing calls of distant animals, and a chorus of chirping insects filled the air. Marie and Alan, ever curious, felt drawn deeper by these unfamiliar sounds. An adventure had just begun, its path lit by moonlight. The deeper they ventured, the more the jungle unveiled its enchanting distractions. Bioluminescent mushrooms lined their path, while curious creatures hid in the shadows, their eyes reflecting the moonlight. Entranced, they were lured further and further away, the cabin's lights fading into a distant memory. Hours seemed to merge as they trod along until the unsettling realization dawned that their surroundings were unfamiliar. Their footsteps, which they hoped would guide them back, were swallowed by the thick underbrush. The vastness of the jungle loomed around them, making every direction look eerily similar. A cold grip of panic began to seize them. Their initial adventure had turned into a desperate quest for a way out. The once enchanting sounds now seemed menacing. Every rustle became a threat, and the vastness of the night pressed down on them, amplifying their isolation. Days turned into nights and back into days. With their voices growing hoarse, they screamed out for any sign of help. They climbed trees, hoping for a vantage point or a distant sign of the cabin, but the thick canopy concealed any landmarks. Their calls echoed through the jungle, unanswered, fueling their despair. Even during the long years of Marie's mysterious disappearance, a certain energy hummed in her mother's heart, a gentle, undying belief. People often told her to move on, but a mother's heart knows differently. She would feel brief moments of anxiety as if her daughter was reaching out across an unimaginable distance. And she always believed that one day she'd get a sign. The phone rang, piercing the silence of a normal afternoon. When she picked it up, her world transformed. A voice on the other end mentioned Marie. Her heart raced, each word an affirmation of what her intuition had always known. "Marie, alive," the voice confirmed, and time seemed to stop for a breathless moment. Their first conversation was a tangled mess of fragmented words and overwhelming emotions. Marie's faltering English clashed with her mother's frantic need for clarity. Yet amidst the chaos, a silent bond pulsed, more powerful than words. It was the language of the heart, connecting two souls separated by time and circumstances. The air was thick with palpable emotion. Both mother and daughter cried, the phone line transmitting their tears and sighs. Words were unnecessary. Their connected heartbeats said it all. Years of pain, hope, and separation melted away, leaving only relief. A reunion, even if only through a phone, held the power of healing. Determination rose in the mother's heart. "I come. Find Alan," she spoke with unwavering resolve. The urgency to reconnect with her daughter and save her son-in-law fueled her spirit. She knew the journey ahead was uncertain, but nothing would hold her back from ensuring her family was whole again. Amidst the whirlwind of preparations, hope became their guiding light. The mother clung to the belief that love and persistence could overcome any obstacle. Every step they took towards the unknown was a step closer to reuniting their family. Even in the darkest hours, the ember of hope continued to glow, never letting despair take root. Efficiently and with haste, the officials began to gather supplies. Medical kits, packed with bandages, antiseptics and emergency medication, were prepared. Rations and fresh water, satellite phones and sturdy machetes, all made ready for the unknown journey ahead. Marie, though still struggling with her memories and language, tried to guide their preparations. Every movement Marie made conveyed urgency. She would often glance towards the thick jungle, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. Her fragmented English made it hard to communicate specifics. "Fast! Must go fast," she'd repeat, but the reasons remained a mystery to the officials. As the gear was loaded, Marie's whispers became more frequent. "Danger," she murmured, her eyes darting around. "We need help." When pressed for details, she would grow silent or change the topic, leaving everyone in suspense. The unknown threat lurking in her words left a shiver down their spines. The officials huddled, their conversations filled with concern. "What are we walking into?" one asked. "Do we really know enough?" added another. Their duty to help was clear, but Marie's elusive hints made them question the depth of the enigma they were about to face. Yet, the allure of the mystery drove them on. With supplies packed and resolve steeled, the group began their trek into the dense forest. Each step they took was into an ever-deepening puzzle, with Marie as the only guide. As the sounds of the modern world faded, the questions grew louder in their minds, overshadowing the preparations they had made. The expanse of the jungle stretched out as far as the eye could see. Towering trees, dense underbrush, and the cacophony of unseen animals emphasized the enormity of the terrain. The officials felt the weight of the wilderness, realizing they were mere specks in this vast, uncharted realm. As the landscape around them grew wilder, so did Marie. Her steps became more assured, her eyes sharper. The hesitant, fractured English speaker began to move with an ease that belied her years of isolation. In this environment, her instincts and deep connection to the jungle were evident, commanding respect from the officials. As night descended, the team set up camp. The symphony of the jungle, chirping crickets, distant roars and rustling leaves played around them. The sky, a canvas of stars, provided a mesmerizing backdrop. While the officials were entranced by the beauty, they also felt the lurking uncertainties of the wild. With dawn, Marie took the lead, her pathfinding skills coming to the forefront. She navigated the dense forest with an uncanny sense of direction, identifying landmarks and retracing steps she had once taken. The officials followed, relying on her knowledge, amazed at her transformation from a quiet returnee to their trusted guide. Each evening, as they settled by the fire, the group was wrapped in a mix of exhaustion and expectation. The deeper they ventured, the more they felt the weight of the impending unknown. Conversations were filled with speculations and hushed discussions, but the central question remained: what would the next day bring? Marie's expertise in navigating the dense jungle was evident in every move she made. She sidestepped pitfalls, knew which plants to avoid and which ones could be of aid. Her hands moved swiftly, creating makeshift tools or signaling paths to take. The officials, while trained, could only aspire to match her natural fluency in this wild terrain. The landscape proved formidable. Raging rivers interrupted their path, requiring them to craft rafts or find narrow crossings. Dense patches of forest forced them to tread with extreme caution, while wary eyes kept watch for unpredictable wildlife. Each day brought a new challenge, testing their endurance and adaptability. As days turned to nights and back again, the admiration the officials held for Marie began to mingle with growing frustration. They yearned for clear, concise communication, a sense of direction, and a time frame. The weight of the unknown combined with physical exhaustion heightened the team's emotions. One day, sensing a particular danger, Marie attempted to convey an urgent message. But her faltering English and their lack of jungle intuition created a frustrating barrier. Gestures, broken phrases, and increasing desperation marked their interactions. Marie's distress was palpable as she tried to protect them from an unseen threat. Exhaustion, the relentless challenges of the jungle, and the weight of their task came to a head. In a particularly dense thicket, as Marie tried yet again to communicate, an official, red-faced and sweat-soaked, lost his temper. "Just speak clearly," he shouted, his voice echoing in the silent forest. The rest of the group froze, tension thick in the air, as Marie's eyes welled up with tears, her own frustrations and fears laid bare. As days melded into one another, the air grew thick with unease. Every misplaced step, every misunderstood gesture intensified the strain. The group's cohesion weakened, their unity fragmented. Whispers circulated amongst the officials as side glances and hushed conversations became the norm. Trust, once taken for granted, now felt like a luxury. Marie's mother, who had joined the search filled with hope and determination, now wore an expression of deepening concern. Her eyes, which always searched for her daughter, displayed a mix of pride and fear. Every stumble Marie made, every hesitation, caused her heart to lurch with maternal worry. One evening, an official reported seeing Marie speaking earnestly to a tree. Her hands were animated, her voice pleading. The unsettling sight cast a shadow of doubt over her mental stability. "Is the jungle playing tricks on her mind?" one whispered. The narrative of her losing her grasp on reality began to spread. Adding to the intrigue, Marie was sometimes heard muttering in an unfamiliar tongue. It was neither English nor any language known to the officials. The rhythmic, melodic cadence of her speech added another layer to the growing enigma of her time away from civilization. A heated debate erupted among the group around a makeshift campfire. Some argued the dangers and uncertainties were too great, suggesting a retreat to familiar territory. Others, driven by commitment or sheer curiosity, insisted on pressing forward. The group was at a crossroads, both literally and metaphorically, as they wrestled with the choice of venturing deeper into the unknown or seeking the safety of the known world. The dense foliage began to thin, revealing patches of the sky. Marie, with a newfound energy, quickened her pace. She turned to the group, pointing ahead with assurance in her eyes. "Close," she murmured. The collective spirits lifted, sensing the end of this arduous journey was within grasp. Marie's steadfast determination fueled their final push forward. The evening blanketed the jungle in a cloak of silvery moonlight. Shadows danced upon the trees, creating a mesmerizing display. A feeling of anticipation mingled with an almost palpable tension in the air. This would be their last night before reaching the place Marie had indicated, and the aura of the unknown was more potent than ever. As night deepened, a faint, rhythmic sound echoed through the trees. A distant melody, tribal and ancient, wafted towards them, carried by the gentle wind. The group paused, ears straining, captivated. This ethereal music was both haunting and beautiful, hinting at a community living harmoniously with the land. The soft thud of distant drums, the hum of voices, it all pointed toward the presence of a tribe. Hope surged within the group. Could this be where Alan was? Marie's eyes, bright with tears, conveyed more than words ever could. The very existence of a nearby tribe reignited the hopes of finding her husband. Dawn's first rays illuminated their path, and in the distance, at the foot of a grand mountain, a mysterious glow emanated. It wasn't the natural light of a campfire, but something otherworldly. The sight both enthralled and mystified the team. What could be the source of such an unusual luminescence? The journey's end was in sight, and with it, the answers to the myriad questions that had plagued them all. As the dense trees gave way to an opening, the group found themselves suddenly encircled by tribespeople. Painted faces and elaborate adornments stared intently at them, weapons poised. The silence was thick, almost suffocating. Every member of the search team held their breath, unsure of what to expect next. A soft murmur arose as one of the tribespeople stepped forward, eyes locked onto Marie. Their stern expressions melted into smiles as they approached her, touching her shoulder gently. It was evident they shared a profound bond. Marie nodded in acknowledgement, the weight of her leadership clear. It became unmistakably evident. Marie was no stranger to these people. Under the protective wing of the tribe, the group journeyed deeper into the jungle. The path they traversed showed signs of regular use, leading them to a sprawling village set amidst massive trees. Thatched huts, children playing, and the hum of daily life welcomed them. The heart of the tribe lay before their eyes, a testament to a life lived in harmony with nature. Communication proved challenging. The tribe's language was a melodic mix of clicks, tones, and gestures, entirely alien to the officials. Marie acted as a bridge, translating where she could. However, the depth of understanding between her and the tribe was evident, suggesting she had been with them for quite some time. Despite initial fears, the warmth of the tribe was undeniable. They shared their food, showcased their crafts, and performed dances in honor of their guests. Far from the primitive perception they had harbored, the officials found themselves amidst a community rich in culture and wisdom. The day ended with a newfound respect and hope for the next steps in their journey. In the heart of the tribal village, inside a prominently placed hut, they found Alan. Though his face showed signs of exhaustion, his eyes sparkled upon seeing familiar faces. Marie ran to him, their embrace a powerful testimony to their enduring love. The relief in Marie's eyes was palpable, but the group couldn't help but notice the complex mix of emotions that crossed Alan's face. As days turned into nights, tales of the past 20 years unfolded. They spoke of initial fears, survival challenges, and the gradual formation of trust between them and the tribe. The tribe had saved them, taught them their ways, and in return, Marie and Alan shared knowledge from the world they had left behind. Their seamless integration into the tribe was evident from the tattoos on their arms, symbols of acceptance and honor. The duo had not just survived, but thrived, forming connections, participating in rituals, and becoming indispensable parts of the tribal family. The tribe had become their sanctuary, a haven where they experienced a profound sense of belonging. With the aid of a linguist, more details surfaced. It wasn't just a tale of survival, but also one of choice. While the tribe was initially wary of outsiders, Marie and Alan's genuine interest in their ways bridged the divide. Over time, they chose to stay, valuing the peace and purity of the life they discovered. But Alan's deteriorating health, a condition unknown to the tribe, had forced Marie to seek the outside world's assistance. Upon thorough examination, the medical personnel recognized the symptoms of a disease that modern medicine could address. They quickly assembled a makeshift treatment area, administering the necessary medications. As the days passed and Alan's condition began to stabilize, Marie's gratitude was evident. However, the realization was clear. They had built a life amidst the tribe, and returning to the modern world was a decision not easily made.